Good morning, everyone. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee or catching up later in the day, welcome to another episode of Auto Intelligence, where we bring you the sharpest takes on the auto industry's most relevant topics. I'm Steve.
And I'm Claire. We're part of the Auto Agentic team, bringing you fresh insights on the automotive landscape every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're taking a step back to look at the visionaries who didn't just build cars, but fundamentally transformed how we live, work, and move through the world.
That's right, Claire. For a long time, the automobile was dismissed as a curiosity, a rickety contraption for the wealthy, a plaything for tinkerers, a fleeting experiment in mobility. But what if I told you that the story of the car is not just about steel and rubber, but of visionaries and rebels, of boardroom battles and midnight epiphanies?
And beneath the hood of every Model T, Beetle, or Tesla, you'll find not only pistons and gears, but the fingerprints of men and women who dared to see the future before the rest of us could even imagine it. Today, we're exploring the legacy of 9 such individuals.
Some names you know. Ford, Musk, Barra, others might be less familiar, but their impact is no less profound. Together, they didn't just build cars, they built the world we live in. One decision, one innovation, one audacious gamble at a time.
To understand how we got from the soot-stained factories of Detroit to the gleaming, silent corridors of the Gigafactory, we need to start at the beginning. We'll trace the arc of ambition and ingenuity through 3 distinct eras: the machine age, the age of globalization, and the age of digital disruption. Each era presented a new set of challenges. Each challenge demanded a new kind of leader.
Tell me, Claire, haven't you ever wondered what was going through Henry Ford's mind when he first started tinkering with engines?
I have, Steve, and it's fascinating to think about those pivotal moments that changed everything.
Let's start small, as Malcolm Gladwell might, with a single moment. A young Henry Ford in 1896 hunched over a wooden workbench, coaxing his quadricycle to life. The engine sputters, the neighbors watch, bemused. Ford is undeterred. He's not just building a machine, he's building a movement.
Let's begin with the machine age, that pivotal period from 1900 to 1950 that laid the foundation for everything that followed. This was a time of unprecedented industrial growth, when America was transforming from an agrarian society into a manufacturing powerhouse.
Henry Ford, the man who made time move faster. It's tempting to think of Henry Ford as the man who invented the car. He didn't, but he did something far more radical. He invented the modern car, and in the process, he invented modern America.
Ford's genius wasn't in the Model T's design, though it was clever with its simple, rugged construction, but in the way he built it. In 1913, Ford watched Chicago butchers disassemble carcasses on a moving line and had a revelation. Why not build cars the same way?
The result was the moving assembly line, a marvel of industrial choreography that slashed production time from 12 hours to just 93 minutes. By 1927, Ford had sold 15 million Model Ts. The car was no longer a luxury, it had become a birthright.
But Ford's true revolution was social. In 1914, he doubled his workers' pay to $5 a day. The move was derided as lunacy by his peers, but Ford saw further. He famously said, "The owner, the employees, and the buying public are all one and the same." By making his workers prosperous, he made them customers. The Model T became the car that built the middle class.
That's a fascinating perspective, Claire. Ford wasn't just creating customers, he was creating a new economic model altogether.
Exactly. And it's a principle that continues to influence business thinking today. The idea that well-paid workers become consumers who drive economic growth.
Yet, Ford's story is also a cautionary tale. His stubborn refusal to update the Model T, any color so long as it's black, opened the door for rivals. Still, his legacy endures. Every assembly line, every affordable product, every notion that business can be both profitable and transformative owes a debt to the man from Dearborn.
If Ford made cars for the masses, Ferdinand Porsche dreamed of cars that could do the impossible: cross continents, win races, survive wars. Our story now takes us to Europe, where engineering met ambition in the hands of a restless genius.
Ferdinand Porsche, the engineer's engineer. Picture a war-ravaged Germany, 1945. Amidst the rubble, a small team led by Ferdinand Porsche is assembling the first Porsche 356 in an Austrian sawmill. It's a car born of scarcity, aluminum for the body, Volkswagen parts for the engine, but it's also a car born of vision.
Porsche's name is forever linked to the Volkswagen Beetle, a project commissioned by Hitler in 1934. The people's car was meant to be cheap, reliable, and easy to repair. After the war, the Allies revived the Beetle, and it became a symbol of peace and prosperity, over 21 million sold worldwide.
It's remarkable, isn't it, how a car designed under such dark circumstances could ultimately become a symbol of freedom and counterculture in the 1960s. The Beetle's journey from Nazi Germany to becoming the hippie van of choice shows how technologies can transcend their origins.
That's one of the most fascinating aspects of automotive history, Steve. These machines take on cultural meanings far beyond their mechanical functions.
But Porsche's true passion was speed. His Auto Union Grand Prix cars of the 1930s were technological marvels, mid-engine, streamlined, terrifyingly fast. Later, the Porsche 911 would become the most successful sports car in history, a machine as comfortable on the Autobahn as it was on the racetrack.
Porsche's legacy is one of relentless innovation. The perfect car crosses the finish line first and then falls apart, he liked to say. In other words, don't overbuild. Build for purpose, for performance, for the joy of driving.
If Porsche was the artist, Alfred Sloan was the architect. As the world emerged from war, it was Sloan who taught us that cars could be more than machines. They could be aspirations, identities, even status symbols.
Alfred P. Sloan, the man who sold the American dream. For Alfred Sloan, the car was not just a product, it was a ladder. At General Motors, he created a hierarchy, Chevrolet for the entry-level buyer, Cadillac for the country club set, and everything in between. A car for every purse and purpose, he called it.
Sloan's genius was organizational. He introduced decentralized management, annual model changes, and consumer credit through GMSC. Under his leadership, GM's market share soared from 12% to 52%. He didn't just sell cars, he sold progress, possibility, and the idea that you could always move up.
That concept of aspirational marketing, of creating products that consumers would graduate to as their status increased, completely transformed how companies approach product lines. Today we see it everywhere, from smartphones to kitchen appliances.
Absolutely, and what's fascinating is how Sloan understood that cars weren't just transportation, they were expressions of identity and status. He effectively created the concept of lifestyle marketing decades before it became a buzzword.
Sloan's influence extends beyond Detroit. His management style became the template for the modern corporation. His memoir, My Years with General Motors, is still studied in business schools. As David Halberstam wrote, Sloan didn't just build cars, he built the American way of business.
The machine age was about scale and access, but as the world shrank and competition grew fiercer, a new breed of leader emerged, one who could navigate cultures, conquer new markets, and turn adversity into advantage.
You're listening to Auto Intelligence, sponsored by AutoAgentic, the pioneering AI-driven platform transforming automotive retail with intelligent solutions that empower dealership teams. Now let's explore how globalization reshaped the automotive landscape.
The Age of Globalization, spanning from 1950 to 2000, saw the automotive industry extend beyond national borders to become truly international. This era introduced a new set of leaders who redefined what was possible.
What's remarkable about this era, Steve, is how it represents the first true test of American automotive dominance. Suddenly, Detroit wasn't just competing with itself, it was facing challengers from across the oceans.
That's right, Claire. And nobody embodied that challenge better than our next visionary.
Soichiro Honda, the outsider who outran everyone. It's 1946. Japan is in ruins. Soichiro Honda, a failed piston ring supplier, is scavenging war surplus engines to power bicycles. By 1959, his company had become the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer. How?
Honda's secret was relentless experimentation. Success is 99% failure, he said. The 1958 Super Cub, cheap, reliable, and easy to ride, became the best-selling vehicle in history with over 100 million sold. Honda's U.S. ad campaign, "You meet the nicest people on a Honda," shattered stereotypes and made motorcycles mainstream.
But Honda wasn't content. In 1972, he launched the Civic, just as the oil crisis hit. Its CVCC engine met strict US emission standards without a catalytic converter, a feat Detroit engineers called impossible. By 1982, Honda was building cars in Ohio, the first Japanese automaker to do so.
Honda's approach was radical: race on Sunday, sell on Monday. His Formula One engines dominated the 1980s, and his NSX supercar rewrote the rules for performance and reliability.
What's fascinating about Honda is how he approached problems differently. When American automakers were fighting against emission standards, he saw them as a challenge to innovate. It's a powerful lesson about turning regulatory constraints into competitive advantages.
Absolutely. And his approach to manufacturing, emphasizing quality and efficiency, fundamentally changed consumer expectations about reliability. Before Japanese cars entered the market in force, Americans almost expected their vehicles to break down regularly.
While Honda was conquering the world with engineering back in Detroit, a familiar name was fighting to save an American icon from extinction.
Henry Ford II, the heir who rebuilt the empire. When Henry Ford II took over in 1945, Ford Motor Company was hemorrhaging money. The war had left it bloated and inefficient. Ford II's answer? The Whiz Kids, a group of ex-Air Force analysts who brought discipline and data to the chaos.
The 1949 Ford, with its sleek shoebox design, was a hit, but Ford's real legacy was global ambition. He took the company public, expanded overseas, and most famously, set his sights on Le Mans. After being rebuffed by Enzo Ferrari, Ford poured millions into the GT40 program.
In 1966, Ford broke Ferrari's 6-year winning streak, finishing 1-2-3 at Le Mans, a victory as much about pride as performance.
Ford II's tenure was not without controversy. He clashed with Lee Iacocca, fired him, and sometimes let personal grudges cloud business judgment. But he restored Ford's reputation and proved that American industry could compete on the world stage.
The Le Mans victory isn't just a racing story. It's about American manufacturing proving itself against European craftsmanship. And the fact that it was sparked by a personal feud between Ford and Ferrari adds such a human dimension to what was essentially a battle of industrial giants.
It reminds us that even in business, ego and emotion drive decision-making as much as rational analysis. Ford spent far more on the GT40 program than could ever be justified by direct returns, but the prestige and confidence it generated were priceless.
If Ford II embodied the power of scale, Carroll Shelby embodied the power of personality, a maverick who turned racing into theater and cars into legends.
Carroll Shelby, the cowboy who tamed the snake. Carroll Shelby was, by his own admission, just a chicken farmer from Texas, but behind the folksy charm was a fierce competitor. After a heart condition ended his racing career, Shelby set out to build the fastest cars in the world.
The AC Cobra was his masterpiece, a British chassis with a Ford V8 shoehorned under the hood. It was brash, loud, and utterly American. Shelby's partnership with Ford led to the GT350 and GT500 Mustangs, cars that became icons of the muscle car era.
But Shelby's greatest triumph was at Le Mans. Tasked by Ford, the second to beat Ferrari, he assembled a ragtag team and delivered the impossible. The 1966 1-2-3 finish was immortalized in film and folklore.
Shelby's legacy is more than cars. It's a way of thinking. If you're not a little scared, you're not going fast enough, he liked to say. He turned risk into reward, and in doing so, he inspired a generation of builders and dreamers.
Shelby represents something uniquely American in the automotive landscape. That blend of showmanship, engineering ingenuity, and willingness to break rules. In many ways, he was a precursor to today's tech entrepreneurs who combine technical know-how with personal branding.
That's an excellent point, Claire. And like many of today's tech visionaries, Shelby understood the power of narrative. He wasn't just selling performance, he was selling an experience, a story, an identity.
As the 20th century drew to a close, the industry faced new challenges: environmental crises, digital disruption, and the rise of Silicon Valley. The next era would require a different kind of leader, one part technologist, one part evangelist, all parts visionary.
And now we arrive at the age of digital disruption from 2000 to the present. This is where AI and electrification have begun to fundamentally reshape the industry as we know it.
What makes this era so different from the previous ones, Steve?
I think it's the convergence of multiple revolutions at once. Electrification, connectivity, autonomy, and new ownership models are all hitting simultaneously. In previous eras, the industry had to adapt to one major shift at a time.
Elon Musk, the iconoclast who electrified the world. It's easy to forget now, but when Elon Musk joined Tesla in 2004, the company was a punchline. Electric cars were slow, ugly, and doomed to fail. Musk, fresh off the sale of PayPal, saw something others missed. The world was ready for a revolution.
Tesla's Model S, launched in 2012, was not just an electric car, it was a statement. Sleek, fast, with a range that made gas stations obsolete, it won accolades and converts. But Musk's real innovation was vertical integration. He built the Gigafactory, slashed battery costs, and sold cars directly to consumers, bypassing dealerships.
Musk's leadership is famously intense. He sets impossible goals, works punishing hours, and expects the same from his team. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough, he says. The result? Tesla didn't just build electric cars, it forced the entire industry to follow.
By 2023, every major automaker had announced plans for electrification. Tesla's valuation soared past $1 trillion. Musk, for all his controversy, had changed the game.
What's particularly notable about Musk is that he entered the industry as a complete outsider with no automotive experience. He approached car manufacturing with the mindset of a tech entrepreneur rather than a traditional automaker.
Exactly. And that perspective allowed him to challenge fundamental assumptions. Traditional automakers saw electric vehicles as a compliance obligation. Musk saw them as an opportunity to build something superior. He didn't just make an electric alternative to gas cars, he reimagined what a car could be.
While Musk was rewriting the rules, Akio Toyoda was quietly steering the world's largest automaker through crisis and transformation, blending tradition with innovation.
Akio Toyoda, the reluctant revolutionary. When Akio Toyoda became CEO in 2009, Toyota was in trouble. The financial crisis, a massive recall scandal, and doubts about the future of gasoline engines threatened the company's dominance.
Toyoda responded with humility and resolve. He doubled down on Toyota's strengths, quality, efficiency, and reliability, while pushing into new territory, hybrids, hydrogen, and eventually battery electrics. Unlike rivals who bet everything on EVs, Toyota advocated a multi-pathway approach. The enemy is carbon, not the internal combustion engine, he insisted.
Toyota's leadership during the recall crisis was a masterclass in accountability. He apologized publicly, overhauled quality controls, and restored trust. Under his watch, Toyota remained the world's top automaker, pioneering hybrid technology and exploring the frontiers of hydrogen fuel.
Toyota's story is one of balance, between past and future, caution and courage. I am not a CEO who sits in an office. I am a car guy, he said. In a world obsessed with disruption, he proved that evolution can be as powerful as revolution.
What's interesting about Toyota's approach is that it reflects a distinctly Japanese business philosophy, one that values steady, incremental improvement over dramatic disruption. The Toyota production system itself was built on this principle of Kaizen, or continuous improvement.
That's right. And while Silicon Valley celebrates the move fast and break things mentality, Toyota's more measured approach has ensured its resilience through multiple industry transformations. There's more than one path to innovation.
If Toyota's strength was steady stewardship, Mary Barra's was bold reinvention. In an industry slow to change, she made General Motors a symbol of transformation.
Mary Barra, the engineer who became a trailblazer. When Mary Barra took the reins at GM in 2014, she became the first woman to lead a major global automaker. But her appointment was more than symbolic. It marked a turning point.
Barra's vision was clear. Zero crashes, zero emissions, zero congestion. She committed $35 billion to electric and autonomous vehicles, launched the Chevrolet Bolt, the first affordable long-range EV, and spun off Cruise, GM's self-driving division.
But Barra's real genius was cultural. She shuttered underperforming brands, exited unprofitable markets, and embraced transparency, most notably during the 2014 ignition switch scandal, when she released GM's internal report to the public.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, GM pivoted to produce ventilators and PPE, showcasing Barra's agility and sense of purpose. "We are here to help," she said, echoing GM's World War II legacy.
Barra's GM is not your grandfather's car company. It's a digital mobility platform, a tech company on wheels, a symbol of what's possible when old dogs learn new tricks.
What impresses me most about Barra is her willingness to make painful decisions for long-term sustainability. Pulling out of Europe, killing beloved brands like Holden, these weren't easy calls, but they freed up resources for future-focused investments.
Absolutely, and her engineering background gives her a perspective that many CEOs lack. She understands both the technical challenges and the business implications of transformation, which is crucial when navigating such fundamental industry changes.
As we've tracked these visionaries through the decades, it's worth noting that we're now seeing AI reshape the industry in ways that even these pioneers might not have imagined.
That's right, Steve. Today's automotive leaders are leveraging AI across every aspect of the business, from design and manufacturing to sales and the driving experience itself.
Consider how AI is transforming vehicle development. Engineers are using machine learning to simulate thousands of design iterations in minutes rather than months. These systems can predict how materials will perform under stress and optimize everything from aerodynamics to battery chemistry.
And on the factory floor, AI-powered robots work alongside humans with unprecedented precision and adaptability. Advanced computer vision systems inspect components with accuracy that far exceeds human capability, identifying microscopic defects that might have once gone unnoticed.
The sales experience is being revolutionized too. Today's dealerships can use AI to analyze customer data and personalize the buying journey, much like Alfred Sloan's car for every purse and purpose philosophy, but with far greater precision.
Inside the vehicles themselves, AI is enabling levels of autonomy that seemed like science fiction during the machine age. Advanced driver assistance systems are making our roads safer, fulfilling part of Mary Barra's zero crashes vision.
What's fascinating to me is that AI development is following a similar pattern to early automotive development: rapid iteration, competing technical approaches, and debates about standardization. We're essentially watching the birth of a new era in real time.
That's an astute observation, Steve. And just as early cars required new infrastructure like paved roads and gas stations, autonomous vehicles will need new digital infrastructure, from high-definition maps to vehicle-to-everything communication networks.
What's fascinating is how these technologies are continuing the legacies of our 9 visionaries. Musk's push for autonomous driving, Barra's investment in Cruise, and Toyota's careful integration of AI while preserving the joy of driving. They're all extensions of the pioneering spirit we've discussed today.
And just as Henry Ford democratized the automobile with the assembly line, today's AI implementations are making advanced vehicle features more accessible to everyday consumers.
I think there's another parallel worth noting. Just as the early automotive pioneers had to convince a skeptical public that cars were the future, today's leaders are working to build trust in AI and autonomous systems. The technical challenges may be different, but the human factors remain remarkably similar.
That's an excellent point. Each era has required visionaries who could not just develop the technology, but also help society adapt to and embrace fundamental change. The greatest innovations aren't just technical, they're social and cultural as well.
What did these 9 leaders have in common? They were not content to follow the road. They built new ones. They saw beyond the horizon, took risks, made mistakes, and kept moving forward. Their stories remind us that progress is not inevitable. It's the product of vision, courage, and sometimes sheer stubbornness.
These individuals were chosen partly for their business acumen, but mostly for their willingness to challenge the status quo. Ford democratized the automobile, Porsche made it an object of desire, Sloan turned it into a symbol of aspiration. Honda proved that resilience and innovation could conquer the world.
Ford, the second, and Shelby showed that scale and spectacle could win hearts and markets. In the modern era, Musk, Toyota, and Barra have navigated the twin storms of technological disruption and climate change, charting new courses for a sustainable digital future.
External forces, wars, recessions, oil shocks, regulatory shifts shaped their paths, but it was their personal attributes: Ford's stubbornness, Sloan's analytical mind, Honda's humility, Musk's audacity, Toyota's adaptability, Barra's transparency, that turned adversity into opportunity.
Their key decisions: Ford's $5 workday, Sloan's brand hierarchy, Honda's global expansion, Ford II's Le Mans gamble, Shelby's racing theatrics, Musk's gigafactories, Toyota's multi-pathway strategy, Barra's digital pivot did more than shape companies. They shaped culture, society, and the very way we move.
So the next time you slide behind the wheel, remember, you're not just driving a car, you're driving a piece of history, a rolling testament to the visionaries who dared to dream bigger, move faster, and leave the world forever changed.
This is the story of the automobile, but more than that, it's the story of us. Restless, ambitious, always searching for the next horizon. The journey, as these 9 leaders have shown, is just beginning.
This episode of Auto Intelligence is brought to you by Agentic, the first hybrid AI partner in automotive. Founded in 2024, Agentic is a pioneering platform transforming the auto retail industry with a suite of intelligent, adaptive solutions. From streamlining operations to optimizing sales and elevating the customer experience, they're helping dealerships and OEMs move from AI confusion to real results.
What sets Agentic apart is that we're LLM agnostic and deeply trained in the nuances of automotive. More importantly, our AI is built to enhance your team, not replace it. That's why we're known as the most human AI company in the automotive space.
With over 90 modular agents and a team that embeds directly into your operation, Agentic is more than a vendor. It's a true partner built to evolve with you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. You can learn more about Agentic by visiting us at autoagentic.ai. We'll be back on Thursday with more insights from the automotive world.
Thanks for joining us. Drive safely, and we'll catch you next time on Auto Intelligence.